In the morning of July 15th, 2020, the world logged onto Twitter as usual, unaware that within hours, one of the most audacious cybercrimes in social media history would unfold. Celebrities, politicians, business leaders, and Fortune 500 companies saw their accounts hijacked. Blue check marks were no barrier. Verified status offered no protection. Then came the messages. I'm giving back to the community. I will double any Bitcoin you send to this address. Prominent names like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden appeared to be running giveaways. Millions of followers saw identical posts, the same Bitcoin wallet address, the same promise. And in the span of just a few hours, scammers collected nearly $120,000 in Bitcoin from a hack that cost them nothing more than access to Twitter's internal systems. This was no ordinary breach. This was social engineering, insider access, and the exploitation of trust, scaled to perfection. This is the story of the Twitter hack of 2020, how it happened, who was responsible, and what it revealed about digital trust in the age of social platforms. Welcome to Code and Crime. Twitter was, and remains, one of the most influential social networks on the planet. It's where world leaders make policy statements, journalists break news, celebrities interact with fans, financial markets react to single tweets. A tweet can move markets. It can start movements. It can end careers. Trust is the currency of Twitter, and that trust was weaponized on July 15th, 2020. At exactly 12:44 p.m. Eastern Time, dozens of verified accounts suddenly began posting nearly identical messages. Some examples included, "I'm feeling generous today. All Bitcoin sent to this address will be doubled and sent back. This is a giveaway for the people. I love you all." These were not spam accounts. These were accounts with millions of followers and verified status. The illusion was perfect. And because the messages came from trusted accounts, followers believed them. Within minutes, Bitcoin started flowing. The scammers controlled multiple Bitcoin wallet addresses, which were publicly visible. Blockchain analysts observed hundreds of unique transactions Bitcoin flowing in rapid, successive confirmations, funds moving through intermediate wallets. By the end of the attack, approximately 100 Bitcoin had been deposited, worth nearly $120,000 at the time. It may not have been a multi-million-dollar heist, but the impact was greater than the amount stolen, because everyone realized if Twitter could be breached at this level, no one was safe. One of the most shocking details of the Twitter hack was this. There was no zero-day exploit, no bug in the code, no flaw in the blockchain. Instead, the attackers used something far more powerful: social engineering. Cybersecurity expert Kevin Mitnick once said, "People are the weakest link in security." The Twitter hackers proved exactly that. Once inside, they used internal tools designed for Twitter employees to seize control of high-profile accounts. This was not a hack from the outside. It was an insider compromise. In the weeks after the incident, Twitter revealed details that shocked even seasoned security analysts. Attackers gained access to the company's internal administrative tools, account management systems. Capabilities are normally restricted to employees. These tools allowed them to reset email addresses connected to accounts, change account passwords, log in as if they were the legitimate user. In other words, they didn't exploit Twitter's public infrastructure. They exploited its internal support systems. Investigators later confirmed that the initial breach did not begin with a software vulnerability. Instead, it began with targeted social engineering. Days before the incident, threat actors made contact with Twitter employees, posing as internal staff or contractors. They used techniques such as phishing emails, fake authentication requests, VoIP calls designed to impersonate legitimate IT personnel. One employee, believing the request was legitimate, disclosed credentials that gave the attackers access. From there, they escalated privileges, navigated internal dashboards, and took over accounts. This was a case where psychology, not programming, enabled the cybercrime. Interestingly, not all Twitter accounts were compromised. The attackers specifically targeted high-value accounts, verified users, users with large followings, accounts representing political figures, celebrities, and business executives. This wasn't random. This was strategic. Why? Because the impact depends on visibility. The success of a social engineering scam relies on trust, reputation, the belief that a message is legitimate. If a random account with 100 followers posts a scam, few would fall for it. But when will Obama, Apple, or Elon Musk promote a Bitcoin giveaway? People listen, and people send money. Despite appearances, blockchain transparency ensured that Bitcoin could be followed. Within hours, analysts identified the scam wallet addresses, traced inflows and outflows, monitored how funds moved between wallets. However, sophisticated laundering attempts were observed: wallet clustering, coin hopping, moving assets across multiple wallets, transfers through privacy services. These techniques are common in crypto fraud, but they rarely fully conceal the trail. Blockchain analysis firms like Chainalysis and Elliptic reported that the funds were eventually moved to wallets associated with known mixing services, an attempt to obfuscate origin. This would slow investigators, but not stop them. Within days, law enforcement closed in. The U.S. Department of Justice charged 3 individuals in connection with the attack. Graham Ivan Clark, 19, Florida resident, identified as the mastermind who orchestrated the social engineering and coordinated account takeovers. Mason Shepard, aka Chewan, UK resident, accused of assisting with scam infrastructure and handling of stolen funds. Nima Fazeli, aka Rolex, Orlando, accused of buying and selling access to hacked accounts. The youngest, Clark, was charged as an adult. According to the DOJ, Clark coordinated the social engineering, directed co-conspirators, oversaw transfer of funds. Court filings alleged that Clark and associates used Discord servers, messaging apps, online forums to coordinate the scheme and the sale of compromised accounts to others. Unlike some cyber attacks linked to geopolitics or espionage, the motive here was financial gain, although arguably also driven by ego. Court documents suggest these individuals monetized access to high-profile accounts, sold access to other cybercriminals, coordinated Bitcoin scams. All of these points point to a network of opportunistic threat actors, not ideological hackers or nation-state agents. This was the dark underbelly of internet culture meeting real-world crime. The investigation unveiled a combination of digital footprints, metadata, internal logs, public blockchain records, human intelligence. Some of the key forensic breakthroughs included checkmark IP address correlation. Investigators identified repeated logins from certain geographic regions. Two-factor authentication bypass analysis. Twitter's internal access tools did not require the same safeguards as public login systems, a vulnerability exploited by attackers. Blockchain transparency. Every Bitcoin transaction was public, providing a permanent ledger of transfers. Accounts sold on dark web forums. Evidence showed compromised accounts were offered for sale on underground marketplaces, creating leads for authorities. Together, these formed a digital fingerprint that ultimately led back to real individuals. In the aftermath, Twitter's internal policies and systems came under intense scrutiny. Among the weaknesses identified, lack of strong internal access controls. Support tools did not require multi-factor authentication. No zero-trust architecture. Employees could access internal systems with fewer barriers than ideal. Insufficient logging and monitoring. Some access patterns that might have indicated compromise were missed. Social engineering awareness gaps. Employees were tricked by plausible impersonation tactics. In other words, Twitter was breached not because of undefeatable tech, but because of human trust and system design flaws. The internet responded in its usual chaotic mix of memes, market turbulence, scared users freezing accounts, crypto skeptics saying, "I told you so." Crypto markets experienced short-term volatility, in part due to the numerous accounts promoting Bitcoin prices and offers. Meanwhile, users across the world questioned, if Twitter can be hacked like this, what's next? Within weeks, companies across industries began reevaluating internal controls, especially on platforms with elevated privileges. The Twitter hack became a case study in insider threat mitigation, least privilege access, zero trust policies, mandatory multi-factor authentication, MFA. Some companies went further, implementing behavioral monitoring systems, AI-driven anomaly detection, compartmentalized admin access. The message was clear. The perimeter is gone. Security must focus on identity, not infrastructure. One of the lasting impacts of the hack was its influence on public perception of cryptocurrency. For some, it reinforced the belief that Bitcoin is used by scammers, crypto is uncontrollable, blockchain equals crime. But analysts noted something paradoxical. Yes, the scammers used Bitcoin because it was public. It was easy to transfer. It didn't require bank accounts. But Bitcoin's transparency made the crime easier to investigate. Had the scammers used a privacy coin like Monero, tracing would have been significantly harder. In a strange twist, Bitcoin's transparency helped solve the crime. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification for more.